Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United. It's our matchday review of our trip to the City Ground against the Forest, who are chasing Champions League, and unfortunately it took a step closer to securing that. We're part of the Global Sports Podcast Network and we're here partnered with Zencastr, where if you would like to tell your story, make sure you check out the link in the show description to learn more about the Zencastr podcaster platform. My name is Kieran. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Toluwa and Tom. Welcome to you both. Toluwa, I shall start with you. 1-0 loss away at Forest. What's your views on it?
Yeah, first pleasure to be here with you guys again. It was a difficult defeat, obviously one to take. I think from the beginning, obviously the first goal that went in with Ilanga was kind of a sucker punch, but I thought the team responded pretty well. At least 30 minutes into the match, I thought we were the better team. We were more dominant. We were more on the ball. We were able to create the better chances. Forest had only the one shot, I think, in the entire first half. So we were doing a good job of nullifying them after that. But I don't know. Once again, it's just another game where we miss a lot of chances and we're always begging for those chances to go into the back of the net. And I don't know. This game for me screamed for Amad Diallo. Just like on the other side for Nottingham Forest with Ilanga, it screamed somebody to take on the defenders. It just felt a little too flat. And ultimately, a 1-0 result is probably deserved for Forest because they defended so valiantly. But of course, as United fans, you always want a little bit more. We could have had that draw at the end. But I guess now we just move on to the next one.
Yeah, I love the fact that Maguire was brought on as a target man. He's done it once before. I'm sure he'll do it again. I'll come to you now, Tom. What's your instant reaction to that match? I mean, not long after full time.
It felt so dull, but yet we actually got some kind of reaction to going behind. And I think that's the positive we can take from it. The problem was the execution of the shots that we had. I think we had something like 22 or 23 shots in the match. I'm just getting the stats up as we speak. We had 23 to Forest's 8, which tells you something really. And we dominated possession, as Toluwa rightly mentioned. So it was just a really, really below par performance. And this has been our Achilles heel all season with the lack of consistency up front. Because Højlund wasn't able to produce that much, let's be honest with you, since he came on at half-time for Ugarte. And Maguire was only able to do what he could have done as a target man. Now, I'd like to see more of that, to be fair, because the corners are where Maguire tends to really succeed at, because he is good at sort of those air headers, if you like, or going in the air just sort of make a challenge to get the ball away or getting a header on target. But overall, as a team, we failed again. And it does worry me going into the game against City as to how do we react to that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll come to a point you mentioned on the last episode, Tom. You weren't too fussed if it was a loss against Forest, but did you see enough in this game to convince you that there's progress being made?
It didn't feel like we had too many problems in terms of injuries or suspensions, although it was really petulant from Garnacho to get that booking for kicking the ball away. I know he was frustrated, but yeah, it was just needless, really. As far as getting that yellow card was concerned. I don't know how many yellow cards he's on now this season, Garnacho. You may need to fill me in on that, but at least no one got sent off. We don't need. This is not the time in the season to be getting suspensions or injuries. We've already had enough of those.
So is that our highlight? At least no one got sent off. That's the highlight of that match for us.
We've had a number of those this season. Let's be honest. But what I was happy actually to take from it that was positive was Mason Mount coming on and nearly making that instant impact. I really hope that going into the game against City, I'm kind of hoping that he starts and Garnacho starts on the bench purely for the reasons of the Garnacho impact when he comes off the bench. I think that could be what United need. But overall, it just wasn't good enough, on the night, really. We did have enough chances to win it or even get a point, but the quality wasn't there. That was the problem.
Yeah, we had nowhere near the shots on target we needed. I mean, any shot on target was safely into the hand of Matt Sells, very easily keeping his clean sheet there. But to expand on Tom's point, Toluwa, great to see Mason Mount back, great to see Yoro back, great to see Maguire back. I mean, there's lots of people coming back at this stage, and they're all important players.
Yeah, it's positive because I mean we need as many bodies as we can to fill out the rest of the season, especially as we push for Europa League. I think that's, realistically our only saving grace. So really positive to see Mason Mount back, and he looked sharp, considering he's been out frequently and for this time a pretty long amount of time. He looked like he was ready to get on the ball and he was direct. Maguire coming back is great. I thought Euro was great too. He looked much more secure in himself. Especially there was one opportunity where Alanga was going on one of his runs, and Euro made a really great last ditch tackle. And in those moments, it's really 50-50. It's either you get the ball or you get sent off. And I thought he did a great job of really composing himself there. I think moving forward in terms of progression, this game was really, really important to see some more dynamic passing. I loved the way that we passed in the first half. It was really slick. It was really sharp. A lot of that could be said that, Forrest was tired from the FA Cup, but I thought we looked really, really on it. We looked like we wanted to score. And the chances that we created, like Tom said, were great. It was just the execution that was poor. And going into the game against City, that worries me, especially with Bruno Fernandes hitting such a great run of form. And then now in this game, he kind of fell off again. It was another Bruno game where he kind of ghosted, where he tried, but it really wasn't coming off. So going into the game against City, I really hope that these players can maintain sort of that sharpness, sort of that cutting edge, because we're definitely going to need it against City.
The one thing I would say, though, is that it was frustrating. I build up this game as Forest love to be on the counter. They love to soak up the pressure and completely, turn the game on its head with counter-attack. And they've done that all season. They've been really good at it. They've only conceded 10 goals at the City Ground this season in the Premier League. And it shows why. They're willing to put bodies on the line. They're very defensively compact and organised. They know everyone. Ryan Yates was not giving Fernandes a lot of time to breathe on the ball whatsoever. And so it's so frustrating. Within 5 minutes from our own corner, an ex-player, former player in Anthony Alanga runs, what was it they said on Discovery on TNT?
It was 85 metres in 9 seconds.
That's ridiculous. That's utterly ridiculous. And you had Garnacho could have tried to foul him. You had Mazraoui not committing to the challenge on the edge of the D, and it just allowed Alanga to score. And looking at that, I thought that is a quintessential this season Forest goal, and we fell right into their trap. I don't know if you felt the same, Tom.
Honestly, Alanga had an astonishing performance in that. He proved to everyone what the qualities that he was going to bring into Forest since he left United a few years back. But I'm sure he's happier over at Forest than what he would have been over at United had he stayed. So hats off to Alanga for not just what he's done tonight, but what he's done over the course of the season. And his display this evening showcased the talent that he's got. And that's probably what United are missing. They need someone who's able to run at players or run at defences and just get a shot away like what Alanga has done. Is it pace that United lack? It probably is, in that number 9 position, because I don't really feel that Højlund has enough pace in him. So what do United do? They were without Chida Obi, who I think was playing in the FA Youth Cup against Aston Villa for United the night before. Could they have done with him? Probably. I think it would have added another element into the game, really, help provide Ruben Amorim with another option, what they could have done instead of putting Maguire into that target man role when he came on. I thought he brought him on too late, to be honest with you, which is why I'm going to critique Ruben Amorim for, is why did it take him so long to bring Maguire on for Euro when he knew that United needed a goal anyway. They should have brought him on at least 10 minutes sooner, and then that way Maguire would have had more time to settle into the game and actually get a header away, because we had so many crosses. I mean, Dorgu put a number of crosses in, as did Dello. I thought Dello actually had an all right game, because I thought he got stuck in and actually provided a few decent crosses. It's just that we just weren't able to get that final third execution put away. But there are some positives to take from it. We just need to convert the chances into genuine on-target shots.
Yeah, and it's always a bit heartbreaking on that graphic TNT Sports comes up, what was it, about 35 minutes in, where we had about 6 or 7 shots, or maybe even more, and Forest had 1 shot and 1 goal. Felt like a Football Manager or a FIFA game, really, didn't it? It's just teleported us back there. When we come back after this advert break, we'll talk more about the highlights and maybe the lowlights, and maybe pick out a couple of players who we thought did grab our attention for the good or the bad. We'll be back after this.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
I think we'll start with the lowlights and end on the highlights and try and end on a positive here, even though it was a loss. Toluwa, I'll come to you first. Any players that you thought were a bit under the weather today?
Yeah. And what was actually, I thought was a pretty okay performance overall. Definitely Garnacho was one of the lowlights. Disappointingly, Bruno was another lowlight for me as well. I thought he was just off the pace this game. His touch was really poor. We talked about it a little bit before. His passing was, good for the most part. That's one of the most, highlighted attributes about his game is his passing range, his technique. But I think Bruno gets into these moments where he tries too hard, especially when we're losing or when we're expected to get a result. He tries too hard to be that pure creator. And I think there are moments where it kind of feeds into the rest of the team. And I say that because of players like Garnacho, where they start to second guess themselves. They start to overthink. Garnacho is a player that I feel like drives off instinct. And a lot of the times, this season especially, he's just gotten it completely wrong. I don't know if that's, not necessarily a mental, if he's tired, if the games are catching up to him, or if he's just simply not, ready to make the correct decisions at this level. But it's disappointing week in and week out to see, these performances. I think we're looking at their wages. We're looking at what they do on the international level. We're seeing what they were doing for United. And it's just week in and week out, it's like we don't know who to expect. We don't know which Bruno to expect or which Garnacho to expect. To be fair, to their credit, to their point, it's been a tough season. I know that it mentally drags on you, but, they got to fight for something, and it's starting to get to a point where come the end of the season, I don't think a lot of people would be too upset if Garnacho was, made available just for some teams to try and sign.
He's already trying to move him on, is Toluwa. Oof, my goodness. I'll come to you, Tom. I'll come to you, Tom. Any lowlights from this game? Any players in particular?
I do agree with Toluwa. I thought Garnacho was off it again. And I think part of that is down to the fact that he was starting instead of being on the bench and then coming off to make that impact that we've seen time and time again from him. So Ruben Amorim's got a decision to make whether he starts Garnacho for the derby or whether he puts him on the bench. If it was me, I'd put him on the bench and put Mason Mount in the 10 alongside Fernandes. I don't think Xerxes should start, but I think Højlund probably will start, and then Chidobe will come as a sub in the second half. Because if you remember when he featured in the FA Cup against Fulham, he very nearly got us through with that shot he got away in the extra time that Bernd Leno tipped over the bar. So I would say, Garnacho was one of the low points this evening. I thought Fernandes actually played okay. Some of the long passing he was able to get away was actually exquisite. But yeah, I think when he gets forward, when it's so compact, when all the Forest players are so far back, he just tries to do too much. When there's players around him that are asking for the ball, but it's just finding the correct spaces for Fernandes to slot into, either to get his shot away, which he very nearly did in the first few minutes before Forest scored, when Sells very nearly thumbled it into his own net. But yeah, Fernandes I thought was okay. I'm just trying to think who really struggled this evening. I thought Xerxes was anomalous. I say anomalous. He was anomalous. That's what I say. That's the correct word to use. But yeah, Xerxes didn't do anything from what I saw. I don't know if you saw anything to live with what Xerxes did, but to me, it just didn't feel like he was able to provide anything.
Yeah, I mean, I thought once again, I thought his passing was good. I thought our intricate play was good. He's always good at finding spaces and being good at the ball with his feet. But I agree. I mean, other than that, his job is to score. His job is to be a target man, and he didn't really do that. I mean, it's not unfair to say that he was anonymous because, quite frankly, I feel like Hoyland had a much bigger impact in terms of just getting into the box, threatening, providing a threat to the Forest. But yeah, Xerxes was pretty bad today as well.
Yeah, I thought Xerxes had a good opening half an hour. I really did. I agree. He was playing in that deeper role, which I think he really suits. He's very technical on the ball. He's able to make the turn and play the ball forward. But as Toluwa said, he's supposed to be a striker, and that works okay if you've got the levels of talent to be able to play as a false nine. It's a very demanding position to play as that. That's why not many players can actually play as a false nine. But after that first sort of half an hour, 35 minutes, again, started to sort of fade away in that game, and there was a reason he was subbed off in the end. I think he just ran out of steam, unfortunately. Have to agree with Garnacho. I think he was one of the lowlights. He was making stuff happen though, and this is my duality of Garnacho. He was making stuff happen out there, but 7 out of 10 times in that game, he was picking the absolute wrong option. There's one particular play where he's cutting in from the left-hand side and he thinks he's just about got half a yard. He goes to strike the ball and all of a sudden Ryan Yates' foot is just there. Somehow he gets his foot out. And yeah, a lot of Garnacho's players playing on instinct, as you rightly said, Toluwa. But right now, the instinct is if you're 1-0 down, and yes, if you've had 3 or 4 shots that are off target, fair play to him for trying and keep on trying, but at some point you've got to find somebody else. You've got to play the ball across. Again, there were opportunities he missed Dorgu. Again, there are opportunities he could have put it in the box, but he decided to take the shot on. That's fine if you're scoring. But at the moment, he's hit a bad patch of form. I'll quickly flip it round now. Let's talk about some players that did play well. Tom, I'll start with you. Anyone you'd like to give begrudgingly give a man of the match to?
I don't know if I really want to give man of the match, but I thought Dello played better than expected. I thought he got forward and actually provided in a few decent crosses. It's just that no one really got on the end of it when it mattered most. But it was just the fact that Ryan Yates and Milenkovic were always there. Milenkovic, for me, there was a time where he gave the ball away cheaply, hence why Morgan Gibbs-White had a right go at him. And United nearly got an equaliser. I think it was Mason Mount's shot that went wide in the end. I thought Mason Mount, impacted nicely. And I thought Maguire came on and tried to make things happen. He very nearly got the equaliser at the end when it was blocked on the line. I couldn't remember who it was that blocked it on the line. Was it Morello? Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. There's not really a standout highlight because I thought everyone played either average or just below par. There's not really a standout for me that performed better than expected, apart from maybe Dello.
Toluwa, agree?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Nobody really stepped up today, and that's what we needed, at least to get a point. I would say I really liked the performance of Masraoui and De Ligt. I thought they were pretty solid, all things considering. They held it down pretty well. And Euro as well, coming back, Euro looked pretty solid as well. The back three is definitely solid. I like our defensive shape majority of the time. It's just in moments we kind of fall asleep. And those are the most crucial moments in the Premier League. You just cannot fall asleep to certain players. I agree with Tom, though. I mean, other than that, it's just everybody played to the level that we kind of expect them to play or below it. Delo was good as well. I thought Dorgu in moments was really good. He got forward a lot. He's still a little raw. You can tell that, he's still adjusting to the league, but got to give him time. He just joined in January and he's been expected to play every single game at that position. So promising signs for the team, promising signs for the individual players. But other than that, once again, we're just kind of picking at straws and hoping that, eventually these results will turn around. At some point, I feel like the results will start to go in our favor. Things will start to click. I think the style of play is actually making itself quite apparent and well known. But once again, the quality just lacks.
Yeah, I kind of want to echo Tom's sentiments, is that you don't really want to give a best player of the United team. Rather you'd want to say they did okay. They were the best out of an average bunch. And yeah, you could say Dallo. I agree as well. De Ligt, especially when we were sending everybody forward. He was very strong against a Forest side that wanted to counter. It's just so frustrating that we conceded so early on to a typical counter-attack goal from our own corner. And I think we responded well. I think there's enough from this match to say there is progress there. But yeah, you can have all this great intricate passing play, but it has to lead to something. And yeah, I'll go ahead and give Dallo our best of the bunch. Shall we trademark that just in case? It's been a tough season. Let's at least have something under our belt. But maybe you agree with us. Maybe you disagree. Let us know on social medias. We're at GSPN Man United. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on TikTok. And also, we're on YouTube. If I've pressed the right buttons, we should have our own GSPN Manchester United football channel. Well, hey, you can watch all of the episodes. It's GSPN Daily Manchester United, so make sure you go over there and subscribe, and you can see our lovely faces whilst you watch us. What a terrifying concept for you. Toluwa, Tom, thank you so much for joining me on what has been a bit of a lackluster performance on the whole. There's positives to take from this, not many, we admit, but there are positives. We remain in that 13th place. We could get overtaken, but do we really care? No,
I don't.
No, I don't think so.
I don't.
As long as
Unanimous
we don't go
no. Look, if Mason Mount had scored that goal, he would have been on the back pages as Mount saves United. That's what I'm saying. Maybe we'll see that headline at some point. He's gaining fitness again. Anyway, thank you so much for listening in. Hopefully we get better performances on the horizon. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.